question in my head is, was this experience I just had about, 20 minutes ago, a lucid dream into an astral projection experience? I have become more comfortable over time sharing these experiences with you because you seem to want to know each and every experience that I have, even when I'm not 100% sure that it is a astral projection experience or a beyond body experience or a lucid dream. This felt as if I went from a lucid dream into an astral projection experience, and it isn't the first time it happened. So let me get into this, and as I've said before, it's all kind of really up to you, what you think, what you believe. I'm not sure. It seems to me like that was what it was, and I've heard of people talking about going from a lucid dream into an astral projection experience. I never really knew how I felt about it until I started having some of these experiences. So the way it began, it was so interesting. I was on a plane. Now, this was the dream part of what this was. I was on a plane, and who knows what my destination was. It's so interesting because I couldn't tell you the details of the plane in this dream. I just remember I was a passenger, and I don't even remember if I was wearing a seatbelt or not. I do remember that at one stage of this flight, we were flying in this plane, that suddenly the plane went down really steep, like a really steep descent, to the point where I could feel myself like on a roller coaster. Like suddenly it dropped, and I was holding on for dear life. Let me tell you, holding on for dear life. And at some point, the descent stopped, and we were flying, but we were flying really, really close to the ground, guys. And I remember we were in some kind of maze, and I was thinking, how can this huge plane be flying through a maze? This is very strange. Again, dreams are very odd. They're very out of place. And as I was flying, suddenly it occurred to me that I could fly, that I could jump out of here. And for some reason, do not ask me why, because I did not see my mother in this dream, I said, Mom, I'm out of here. I'm going to go out of this plane. So I leaped out of my seat through the roof of the plane, and suddenly I was flying. Plane was gone. I don't know where the plane went. And suddenly, I felt as if I was having an astral projection experience. It was that quick. The transition was that quick. I was in the air, and let me take a moment to describe what I was seeing. I was fairly high, maybe 700 or 800 feet, maybe 1,000 feet in the air. But I could see beneath me a school, and some other buildings. They seemed ancient to me. I don't know why. They seemed very old. I couldn't give you a certain date, but to my mind, this school that I saw seemed ancient to me. Also, for some reason, I'm thinking that I saw dust or sand everywhere in this place. And there were kids running around, and I remember at some point I was smiling. I was so happy. I'm not sure exactly why that was in that moment that I was so happy. I think seeing the kids running around and playing in this school area seeing some other buildings, maybe. I just felt like I was in a very good place. I did, and I do remember seeing signs because I was trying to read them, but I was having difficulty. At times, the words seemed to be one thing and then they would seem to change and they would become another word or a symbol or something. It was very strange. It was changing in the moment. When I would look at it, and when I would stare at it, it would look like one thing and it would change into something else. Very, very strange, guys. So then I decided to descend down to the ground, and all these kids, they rushed over to me, and they were all playing. And then I remember I wasn't afraid to do this. This is so funny. Normally, if I am astral projecting, I'm concerned about shaking hands and doing those things. I've talked about having a pain in my hand sometimes when I touch others, when I touch other people's hands. But these kids all rushed over. And by the way, they all, I think, looked, again, African. All of them. But they were little kids. And they seemed like they were having such a good time, whatever they were doing, running around and playing. And one of them came up to me and I extended my hand. He was particularly dark. I think he had shorter hair. He might have been 7, 8 years old. Cute kid. I come up and I extended my hand. He extends his hand, and I shake his hand, and I ask, again, being curious, what city is it? Does this sound familiar to you? What city is this? Where am I? I immediately went to that because I was like curious about what this place was. And at first, there seemed to be this thing where I couldn't understand him. I couldn't understand his words were strange. Not a language that I have ever heard in my life. I have no idea exactly what he was saying in the beginning. But there seemed to be some combination of something happening. I almost think we were speaking in words, but then we were also perhaps communicating telepathically simultaneously at the same time. I'm not 100% sure. It was quite confusing. But I do remember he was very friendly, shaking my hand, and I was able to ask him, because he wouldn't answer the city. I don't think he understood me when I said, "What city is this?" And I almost feel like some of the kids that were around me, because there were other kids that were gathered around me, I think, they were saying, "We don't understand you," even though they don't. And it's that's why I'm saying I think it was a combination of I was speaking words, but we were also communicating with each other through telepathy, and they were perhaps telepathically telling me, "We don't understand what you're saying, what the words are that you're telling us," but obviously telepathically they were able to maybe understand. That's the only thing I can figure out at this point. That's what I think happened. Just the theory. But I do remember them saying, "We don't understand your words," but I think they understood me telepathically anyway. And it tells me that if I'm out there and a being does not understand me, perhaps telepathy is the universal language. That's maybe what I'm thinking, but I don't know. Anyway, when I asked this being his name, I guess both through words and telepathy perhaps, he said his name was Atel. I remember his name. He said his name was Atel. I don't know what kind of a name that is. I've never heard the name Atel. I I don't know what region of the world that might be from. If that's from a region of this world, I'm not sure. Perhaps someone out there has heard the name Astral before. He said it with that sort of, I guess, an accent, was Adele. Adele. That's my name, is Adele. But I was unable to find out the city or what this was even called. It was quite confusing, again, because there were kids around and they were all, I think, perhaps excited to see me. I don't know. And then at some point, after being there for a few moments, I had decided, okay, I think I gotta go. And I started to lift off. And I don't know if the kid wanted me to go because the kid kept holding on to my hand. The one, Attell, kept holding on to my hand, but I told him I gotta go. And then after a while, I remember he waved to me, goodbye. And suddenly I opened my eyes. In my bed, in this reality, in the 3D world, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, actually. And I am now sharing this lucid dream, perhaps into astral projection, with you. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.